Yields back. Mr. Gaetz.
I've heard enough, Mr. Chairman. I believe that we can have bipartisan agreement on legislation out of this committee that might be our hallmark achievement of this Congress. But I want to echo the point Mr. Issa made. It is not just the government that engages in these really terrifying data marketplaces. It's the Chinese Communist Party, Russia, big corporations. Chairman Goodlatte, does the Walt Disney Corporation engage in this terrifying data marketplace?
I don't know the answer to that.
But sure, they're lobbyists, right?
I do work for them, but I don't know the answer to your question.
So wait a second, you used to chair this committee. You come here and you tell us about all the harm in this data enterprise, but you don't know that, I mean, you're the Republican that the Disney Corporation hired because they have problems with the Republicans, and you didn't ever talk to them about this?
I came here today to testify regarding the importance of this legislation, which, as you noted, is bipartisan. And
So the LA Times says Disney is running the happiest surveillance operation on earth. Had you seen that article from the LA Times?
Have not seen it.
I think it was, okay, I think it might have been when you were chairman that it came out. And Disney's actually been sued. And they've been sued because Disney installs software on applications used by children, and then they not only buy data from data brokers, Disney then turns around and sells the data that they collect off of children. Are you familiar with that litigation?
I am not.
And there's a Forbes article that came out while you were chairman of this committee, and it talks about the robots that Disney sends around its park to collect data on the people at the park to utilize. Quote, Disney is even dabbling in making robotic versions of Mickey and Minnie and all of its characters that would move around with the guests and interact with them. So as you sit here and talk to us about the harm of this data enterprise, are you concerned that the people who pay you also engage in that very same work?
I think that it would be appropriate for the Congress to look at data collection practices beyond the scope of what this committee is looking at here today. But I also think it's very important to understand that what government can do with that data is very different than what individual enterprises can do. And so that's why I'm here to talk about the Fourth Amendment.
But sometimes, right, I saw in your testimony you say, well, only the government can tax you and only the government can regulate you. But what I'm worried about is that private entities can try to program you. They could try to get you to think a certain way, and they can use this data in a very harmful way. And like particularly with the Walt Disney Corporation that is in business with the Chinese Communist Party, that thanks the Chinese Communist Party for all of the accommodations they got in the filming of Mulan. Like, you know, does it concern you that the Walt Disney Corporation is selling the information of children?
I don't know that that's the fact.
Are you being purposefully ignorant to the fact that Walt Disney engages in the very activities that you're here testifying against?
Well, I do not know the facts that you've stated, so I can't comment.
Well, right, but are you purposely not learning them so that you can simultaneously take money from Disney to try to make them look less evil to Republicans and then advocate on behalf of other organizations before the Congress that critique the very work that Disney's doing?
I'm here to advocate on behalf of people who are concerned about abuses of the Fourth Amendment.
Chairman Goodlatte, do you remember a conversation you and I had when you led this committee at the Capitol Hill Club where you said the best way to be successful in the Judiciary Committee is to find interest groups that are opposed to one another and to tell both of them that you'll support their positions so they'll both make donations to your campaigns?
I definitely do not.
You're under oath, Chairman.
Conversation. I do not.
No. Well, I hope that's not the case in lobbying as well, that you go and, you know, that as a legislator, you try to find interest groups to play off of one another. Then as a lobbyist, you go and take money from the Walt Disney Corporation that is quite literally buying and selling data in precisely the way that you find objectionable today. I think it's a reason why a lot of people are concerned about folks who go from being in Congress to being members of the lobby corps and then using the relationships and that they've developed in order to sell influence. And that selling influence can be just as damaging sometimes as the buying and selling of data. And the Walt Disney Corporation that, you know, that goes against so many of the values of their own patrons certainly isn't worthy of that. And, you know, since there's no federal, legislation on this issue, it doesn't seem like it's preempted. So maybe if we had really smart governor like Governor DeSantis in Florida, they could actually have state-based laws that would attack these issues. Wouldn't that be quite a thing? Mr. Chairman, I now seek unanimous consent to enter a few articles in the record.
Listen.
I have Disney takes over Hulu, a company with serious data collection issues, from Combardo.com. I have from the LA Times, Disneyland is tracking guests and generating big profits doing it. I have from WDinfo.com, Disney facing lawsuit over collecting and selling children's personal information. And I have Disney uses big data, IT, and machine learning to boost the customer experience, and that is from Forbes.
Without objection, and the time of the gentleman has expired.